What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 83. I'm your host, Kevin, aka the Muffin Man, and today I'm joined by Mr. Physical Copy himself, Ethan. How you doing, buddy?
Could be doing better, Kevin. We'll
Could
talk
be
about
doing
it.
better. Could be doing better. I echo that. We also returning to the podcast after a few weeks traveling the world, studying. Aman, the future of esports himself. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, guys. Good to be back finally after a long time. And yeah, let's talk some Xbox.
That's right, and he will have his camera on momentarily. He's a little frazzled little guy over there, so give him a second. I don't know why I'm treating you like you are an infant, but remember, if you like this podcast, we are live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time right here on YouTube. If you can't catch us live, we post every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on your favorite podcast service. While you're over there, please drop us a review, whether that's on Apple or Spotify. If you leave us a 5-star review on Apple, we will read it live on the show. So shout out to Batman Chalupa, who says, looking for a new Xbox game? Great hosts with good chemistry, plus they always have different guests visiting. If you're looking for a new Xbox game, there are plenty of ideas here. They're very knowledgeable and give honest game reviews. If you want to interact with us more, make sure to join our Discord. But guys, before we get into the Patreon shout out, I want to let you know we have a giveaway going on right now for Trek to Yomi. My review went live yesterday. You can check that out and see some more about the game, get my impressions. But if you want to enter that, subscribe to us on YouTube right here. You're here right now. If you're watching this video or if you're listening on audio, you can come over to the YouTube and subscribe, or you can drop us a review on Apple, and this will enter you into the giveaway. I will be in touch with everyone that tweets us, showing us that they did these things. And if you win, I'll give you a code for any platform you want. So make sure you enter that. You have 1 week, and then we'll be choosing a winner. If you want early access to all of our content, head over to patreon.com/projectxtalk. And for $1 a month, you get all the content early, plus the Patreon shout out. So thank you, Bucky Blue, Hopple, and Alpaca Tom for supporting us. We appreciate all of you. And that is housekeeping out of the way, fellas. So it's time to start the podcast as we do every week by going around the room and asking one question. That question is, what you playing? So Ethan, I'm gonna head over to you. What you been playing?
So, I've been playing 2 new Game Pass games. The first one being Trek to Yomi. Okay. I started playing this game on the hardest difficulty, and I was having a lot of fun with it. Eventually, it gets really difficult, though, so I knocked down the difficulty a bit. I just wanted to get the achievement, but I said, you know what? This isn't worth it. The game, stylistically, is absolutely beautiful. It's an incredible experience. I love the atmosphere of the game. I love the black and white filter that it has, and I think it really adds a layer of awesomeness to the game, I guess you could say. And in terms of the combat, it can get a little repetitive, but they do a good job of introducing you to new enemy types throughout the game that keeps it fresh and keeps it more challenging. The boss battles are pretty simplistic. Just, you got to learn some moves or learn their move patterns and do a lot of parrying. I did stop on chapter 4, though, because a new game came out that I fell in love with, and that's Outage and Chronicles Rising. Okay, this was a game that I did not see coming. I think it was the 2020 Xbox showcase. It was the whole 30 games, 27 of them on Game Pass. When I saw the Outage and Chronicles games, there was 2 of them come on. I was like, oh, what's this? I don't really care. I should have listened. I should have looked more into it. This is an awesome game. The thing about this game that I think really helps is that it is not turn-based. I think that really helps with the pacing. It really helps. I know you're going to disagree with me, Kevin. It really helps with the pacing. It really helps with the progression. I feel like if it fell into that hole of being turn-based, because this game looks like it could have been made turn-based very easily, I feel like if they did that, this game would not be for me. The pacing is great. The progression feels incredible. You're always collecting stamps, money, resources, building up the town that you're in. And I'm having an absolute blast with it. And I'm probably going to eat through this game over the weekend and beat it because I cannot stop playing it.
That's awesome. Aman, before I get to you, because I'm gonna go first simply because I've been playing the exact same games as Ethan. I played Trek to Yomi. I beat it in literally one night, the day it came out last
Gosh,
week.
dang.
Yeah, I beat it the last Thursday. I did not play in the hardest difficulty because I like having fun with video games. So I blew through that. I really liked it. I think it's you can check out my full thoughts in my review, but visually I think it's a stunning game. The art style and the actual, like, some of the shots are really what impressed. Like, the camera work in that game really impressed me. It's so cinematic and beautiful. Combat is what it is. It's nothing special.
It's basically just a lot of parrying and timing. That's all this combat is. I mean, if I were to compare it to something, I'd say Elden Ring. Not necessarily at the difficulty level, but I'm talking about how basically you just learn your enemy's timing, learn their movements, and then it's autopilot from then on out.
Yeah, so I've also been playing Iodine Chronicle Rising. And what I will say about this game, I'll probably do a full review, but my thoughts right now, I think I'm a little farther in than Ethan. I have like 69-ish stamps.
Oh, yeah, you're farther.
Yeah, even though Xbox tells me I've only played like an hour more than you. I'm just saying, maybe you should up your game, buddy.
Well, there's a lot of times where I'm playing a game and I just pause it and I go do something else. So
okay. Well, I like the art style of this game. I like the I like the combat enough. It's fine. It's simplistic.
Okay,
it does unlock more as you progress through the game. Like, you start upgrading your weapons and your characters, and then instead of just jumping and hitting like X or Y, you'll be able to do like up X and do like a rising attack, or down X and do a falling attack. You get combo moves, like if you hit the B button for your mage character and then hit Y after she's done attacking, you can link into your other characters, so you can do a little.
Those are fun to do.
Yeah,
those feel good doing those combos.
Yeah, those are cool. Those look really cool. So like, it does open up a little bit more than what it is initially. I think it takes a little bit too long to unlock all of that. I think maybe having those combos and attack styles from the start would have been a benefit to this game, because it is a little slow going. But the game is it's fetch quest, the game. Like, that's what this game is. Like, you talk to someone, they tell you go get something, you go get it, you give it to them, they give you a stamp, you go talk to the next person, repeat. Like, this is literally all you do in this game. I've done it 69 times, and it's like I put a podcast on, and it's like fun enough. That's how I'm playing this game. It's like, it's fun enough that is going to keep I'm skipping all the cutscenes. The story, horrible. I don't like anything that's going on in this game. For a JRPG, this is a very bad story.
See, I don't know if I just got addicted to that loop, that fetch quest loop. I feel like that must be what it is, because it's really like red meat of video games right now with this. Like, it's just the red meat of video games, and I want to take a bite out of it.
Are you, like, for the main quest, I'll listen to or I'll watch, because there's no voice acting. I'll read like 2 lines of dialogue, and I'll be like, all right, I get it. Skip. So I'm just like, it's not, the story is not what I'm playing this game for. It's just like, it's fun enough. There's nothing really else to play. It's Kyle says, I wished it was turn-based, because it's basically just hit one button and jump occasionally. Wasn't impressed by dialogue or story, just started skipping it, just didn't hook me.
Turn-based is just hit one button occasionally too. So
there's strategy to turn-based, okay? And I will let you know, Ethan, the actual Iodine Chronicle game that's coming out next year is turn-based.
Yeah, that's what I like. When I took a look at this UI and took a look at this game, I'm like, it looks like they were making it to be turn-based, and they just flipped a switch somewhere along the development. So it actually surprised. I assumed it was going to be turn-based going into it, but it's not.
So that's what I've been playing. Enjoyable enough. I've been playing some Smash Bros, getting some friendlies in. I'll be participating if anyone wants to tune in to Carpool Gaming. I think 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. We're having a little Smash tournament with some other channels, Nintendo Dads, I think Nintendo Pals. The whole, I'm gonna go in there and wreck some house. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna show them what's up. But Aman, I want to get to you. What have you been playing now that you are back in a country where you can actually play video games?
Right. So I finally left behind the PlayStation 3, back home playing on the Series X. I just started playing 2 days ago, and I still have some catching up to do. But the first game I downloaded was Loot River. I hated it. It's simply it was probably one of the worst roguelikes I've played. Didn't enjoy it at all. I don't even know. The art style was good, but then the gameplay just felt repetitive, monotonous. It was just boring. Like unlike Hades, which was actually my game of the year last year. It just wasn't on the same level, so I didn't enjoy that much. But I'm continuing my playthrough on Guardians of the Galaxy. I left halfway through that game before leaving off and studying and all that. So I'm continuing on that. I think that game is a masterpiece, and I think Embracer Group got a great deal on Eidos Montreal, because the Deus Ex games, Human Revolution, Mankind Divided, and this Guardians of the Galaxy game, they're great. I really enjoyed them. And yeah, 300 million is a steal for 3 studios. Amazing IP. You know.
I will say, Amon, I sent you check the private chat. That's all I want to tell it to you. But also, is there something I'm missing about this game? Because I played through all of Guardians, and my overall impression was it was fine. It went on way too long. I don't really get where the masterpiece, like combat, is genuinely not very good. The story is pretty good, but like it just drags forever.
Yeah, I don't know really what you're missing, because I echo what Amon said, that Guardians is an absolute masterpiece. But I will say it can drag ass at times. Sometimes it does overstretch certain storylines and certain arcs. I do agree with that. But ultimately, I thought it was a really well put together game. But I wanted to say something about Loot River real quick, because I did give that a tiny bit of a shot. I played it for like maybe 30 minutes. I'm not a huge fan of roguelikes. It was just on Game Pass, so I gave it a shot. So overall, I didn't care for it because it was a roguelike. But something that I did enjoy about Loot River, and I want to know if Amon, because obviously it seems like Amon plays more roguelikes than me, the way you move around the levels, in which you step on the platforms and you can move them. Did you like that element at all? Because I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, compared to other roguelikes, no. It's an indie game. It was creative. It was unique. I give them credit for. I give the development team credit for what they have achieved. But it just wasn't my type of game. I'm sure people out there enjoyed it. But compared to other roguelikes which I've played, it's not that good.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm not playing that game. I don't like anything. If it's got rogue in the title, I ain't interested. All right.
Fair enough.
Just not for me. All right, a little shorter what you playing section than usual. We got going on here. I think it's because you and me played the exact same games there, Ethan. Yeah. That's a rare occurrence, but we can hop on over to the library. So have a seat while I grab some books and tell you this week's stories, because oh boy, did a big one break this morning. And that is Starfield and Redfall have been delayed. Announced this morning, Bethesda posted on their official Twitter, quote, "We've made the decision to delay the launches of Redfall and Starfield to the first half of 2023. The teams at Arcane Austin and Bethesda Game Studios have incredible ambitions for their games, and we want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them. We want to thank everyone for their excitement for Redfall and Starfield. That energy is a huge part of what inspires all of us every day and drives our own excitement for what we're creating. We can't wait to share our first deep dive into gameplay for both Redfall and Starfield." So, Ethan, you didn't see this as early as the rest of us, because apparently no one looks at my pings. So, what was your thoughts when you saw this?
First things first, I will always come at the defense of a studio that delays their game. I get why you do it. You don't want to put your employees into crunch time. You want to come out with a polished product, especially with a product like Starfield, which everyone has very high expectations for. You have to meet those expectations. So I respect their decision. I appreciate them doing it and not rushing this game out to market when it needed to be in the oven longer. With that said, it doesn't change the fact that this is really soul crushing. I mean, this is a game that I personally thought was actually going to meet its mark, and obviously we were wrong. So it's really sad to see. This was going to be my Christmas, was playing Starfield. It was going to be a lot of fun, but as long as it comes out in a finished state, I'll be happy. What I think needs to come out of this, though, is these studios just need to stop giving us these hard dates so far in advance. I don't get why they're doing it. I mean, it's every single game at this point that's getting delayed, it feels like. And it would not surprise me if Forza Motorsport gets delayed now. There's so many different games out there that they have these dates on. They're oh yeah, fourth quarter 2022, and they're just delaying. We saw it with Breath of the Wild 2. So I just don't know why game studios are still giving us hard dates. It's clear the environment that we're in right now with game development, they're not meeting these dates. They have to stop getting people. I know you want your pre-orders. I know you want to build that hype around it. But at the end of the day, when you have these delays like this consistently, it really, really upsets gamers and it crushes their souls. So hopefully we could learn something from this is one, just stop believing these development studios, and two, these dev studios just need to stop giving us dates.
Well, so you bring up an interesting point. It's like, when is the appropriate time to give us a release date? Certainly, I think a year out, more than a year out, is ambitious. I think we all thought that was ambitious. And Chevaruni in the chat says, preach, don't tell me about a game until it's super close to being done.
Yeah. And I appreciate those studios that come out and they go, hey, this is out next month. Get ready. That gets me excited. That gets me hyped instead of just a year of drawn out, dev like diaries and stuff like that. And then they just go, oh, by the way, it's not going to be out for another year. That's crushing.
So Ghostwire Tokyo kind of did that, right? Like, we didn't hear about that. We got the initial announcement, and then we didn't hear about it for a long time until like January, and they're like, hey, this comes out in 2 months. And then everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What do you mean it comes out in 2 months?
That to me is the perfect way to go about it. Give that shock to the players. Like, oh my God, this is coming out next month. That to me is way more exciting. Give these things at showcases. One of the theories that I have that maybe why they do this is to get ahead of the game before things get leaked. Things get leaked way too often in the video game industry, and it ruins a lot of hype, and it takes a lot of the air out of, big announcements that we could see at showcases and whatnot. So I think maybe it's a tactic just to get ahead of it so that, they're not getting leaked and stuff like that. So actually studios can just say, yeah, we said that a while ago that we're coming out with it.
Aman, I want to throw it over to you. What was your initial reaction when you saw the news? I know obviously you've been waiting for both these games. I think you were the highest on Redfall when we went over the showcase last year. So how are you feeling?
Disappointed mainly because during the Starfield reveal last year, they showed the 11/11/22. And, they gave a very precise date, and everyone's like, oh, they're definitely going to meet that if they're that precise. So, it was disappointing to see that. But my main concern is, what does Xbox have this year? Starfield and Redfall were supposed to be their heavy hitters. And they might have something that's not announced, but looks like they have absolutely nothing. Last year, they had Halo Infinite and Forza, but this year, it just looks like, it kind of reminds me of last gen. When during the Xbox One, it launched with Rise Son of Rome and a few other games, but then the next year we had absolutely nothing. So kind of give me those flashbacks. But first half of 2023, not that far away. That could possibly still be like January to March of that year. So but I'm surprised Redfall was pushed that far, because that was meant to come out like the summer 2022, which is like right now,
right around the corner.
Yeah. So exactly.
Can I say something to the only two games that I'm tracking right now that are still to be released this year that we know of is Grounded 1.0, which to me isn't a legit release because it's been in early access since 2020. I hate early access. We can have that conversation another time. But and then Forza Motorsport, like I said earlier, and that's the last AAA game really that we know is coming out this year, unless they have something to reveal to us.
That hasn't been confirmed though. They never confirmed their.
They're tentatively saying 2022 though, so that's the only one that I know is even within the realm of this year. So we'll see. It doesn't have a hard date yet. I have a feeling it's going to get pushed. Like a lot of these AAA games, it's clear that we're just in the age of pushing this to the next year. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully this showcase coming up in June, maybe we'll get a few surprises. We'll see.
I think Xbox needs it. When I saw this morning, I was incredibly bummed. Like, obviously Starfield was the game I was looking forward to maybe the most this holiday, depending on what comes out. Obviously we have God of War Ragnarok supposed to hit, which now I'm very much in the camp of like, that's probably going to get delayed too, because we had Breath of the Wild, Starfield. Like, just throw God of War in there. We'll get all three big hitters next year instead of this year. So Redfall didn't really pique my interest. So that one didn't I don't really care when that comes out. Yes, it looks optically looks bad because Xbox hasn't had anything for the first 6 months of this year from their studios. And now it doesn't look like they're going to have anything at all unless Forza Motorsport comes out, which is still up in the air. Like I trust the teams that make Forza because they seem on the ball. And like Forza Horizon 5 came out and it was fantastic. So that one could hit, but is that what I want? No. Like I'm not looking forward to Forza Motorsport. What we need is like a big AAA game. We need to start seeing the fruits of the labor of these acquisitions, and that's not happening this year. We knew mostly next year and 2024 was really going to be like when these things start firing on all cylinders. But we also had the promise, like, okay, this is going to be Bethesda's year. Like this is going to be those studios. And then the 2018 acquisitions will be next year and further on. And then we'll get into a cycle. And it seems that cycle isn't quite set yet, whether that's due to the pandemic or, internal issues. I don't know what's going on at these studios, but it's very disappointing that Xbox seemingly has a very dry and nothing year coming out. It doesn't mean I think they can't have a good year, but that relies on what they announce at the showcase, because we're going to need some surprises. Like we're going to need some smaller AA projects that the other like smaller teams that these studios have been working on. Maybe like Obsidian, we know they have like 4 things. We're going to need something like that to come out. We're going to need some big AAA Game Pass games, I think, guys. Games like Gotham Knights, Hogwarts Legacy. Like we're gonna need those to fill the gaps. Microsoft better be on the phone, start making these deals.
They need the third-party developers need to come in and help them bolster that Game Pass lineup for sure for the rest of this year. And I think what makes this hurt Xbox even more is that I think they were banking on a continuous success of Halo Infinite throughout this year with constant content updates. Obviously, that is not happening. The exact opposite is happening. Their player count is dropping horribly, and they're not releasing content. And the content that they do release, it's a lot of recycled stuff and things people don't necessarily care about. So, maybe hopefully we'll push along the release of Forge and custom games and some other maybe this will encourage them to ramp up production on Halo Infinite. That's the only silver lining I see in this that might, be some good coming out of this.
From what I've heard, the Battle Royale from Certain Affinity is not coming out this summer.
That's again, another point I wanted to bring up was I think Microsoft learned their lesson from last year releasing Halo too early. I think Halo should have been a 2023 game, but because they had nothing last year except for Forza, they had to release it. So I think again, I think they were probably going to release Starfield, but again, after seeing the reaction to Halo multiplayer and all of that, they decided to push it up. And again, it's that situation where next year there's going to be too many games from Xbox. The Avowed is scheduled for next year. That was supposed to be first half 2023 as well. So Avowed, Redfall, Starfield, all three of them in the first half, too cramped,
So but watch, things are going to get delayed to 2024.
Yeah, probably. Exactly. Yeah. So when is this cycle going to end? This game gets delayed, then the game that was supposed to come out earlier, that's going to get delayed because they're too close. They're not spread apart. So yeah.
Just stop giving us dates. Just be open and honest about your development process. Say like, we think we're going to get it out by the end of the year. Don't give us any quarter. Mm-hmm. Don't give us a date. Don't give us a month. Just say, hey, we're working on it. This is where we're at. We might be able to get out with it at the end of this year. If not, it'll be next year.
That's what was most upsetting about the Starfield delay, because they gave us an exact pinpoint date of 11/11/22. So that was.
They made really think about it too. A huge stink about it. It was in the showcase. It lined up with the Skyrim release, kind of. There was all that connection. Everyone was excited. Yeah, I just don't know. Why'd you do that?
It's Kyle in the chat brings up an interesting question. Is it too cramped? Does it even matter with Game Pass? And I think that's fair, because we see Sony spreading out their big releases, right? Like you get Horizon one quarter, you get God of War like maybe the end of the year. Like they spread them out because they want that constant like stream of revenue throughout the year, right? With Game Pass, does it really matter when the games come out? Like if Avowed dropped in February and Starfield dropped in March, does it really matter? Because either way, they're going to be subbed to Game Pass and they're going to be playing those games. Like they can do it then, they can do it in a month later. It really doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then also on top of that, you got to think if they put when they put these games on Game Pass, they could just plop it on the front page. So I mean, it's always going to be in people's minds. Oh yeah, Starfield's out. I'll get to that. And then every day they're seeing Starfield. And when they finally get that opportunity, all right, it's time for Starfield. So that's a great point to make.
Yeah, that is a great point. But again, you also need to take account because Bethesda has a large community in this PC space. You know, people playing through Steam. And I think Avowed will also have a similar sort of community because Obsidian, again, they're also quite world-renowned developers of RPG games. So, you know, players might want to play both Avowed and Starfield. And they might not do it through Game Pass. They might do it through Steam, you know, so it might be too close for them.
That's fair. I just think the overall message is like, it's disappointing because they had such a strong year last year. Like they had...
Right.
Well, some people are like, okay, the first half of 2021 was a little slow, even though like they had the Medium and some other big hitting third-party games coming to the service. But then like once you got June, July, you had like Microsoft Flight Simulator, Psychonauts, Halo, Forza. You had a whole string, and then a bunch of indie games that came out, like Dodgeball Academia came. Like you had those good games hitting the service in a row constantly, and we haven't really seen that this year. In my opinion, I don't think that the Game Pass editions have been quite as good this year as last year. We've had a few notable ones, like we had MLB The Show again, which is big for baseball fans. We had Mass Effect Legendary Edition, we had Guardians of the Galaxy, but those are games that people had either bought and already and played, or it's just they're not the same cadence that we were seeing last year. And I think that is hurting people, which is why come June, in 1 month, exactly, actually, guys, in 1 month, we're going to need to see them like, hey, we've partnered with our homies over at this studio or this developer and publisher, and we're going to get you this game in the fall. I know the only one like I can think of right now is like A Plague Tale Requiem, which is a game I'm super hyped for.
Yeah.
But that is a AA game, right? Like that is not the big AAA game that's going to push Game Pass subscriptions. It certainly has an audience. Innocence was well received, but this isn't their star-studded game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And, you know, we came into this year so hot. I think we were all prepared for an insane 2022 for Xbox. And, you know, things have slowly just been whittling away, had a couple disappointments along the way. And it's been sad. And look, like I said at the beginning, at the top of this, I get it. Developing these games are hard. It's not an easy task to make these games, especially the size and scope of what they are today. So I respect them for delaying these things. But again, it all just circles back to stop getting our hopes up and then taking it away from us. If you're going to put out a date, you better be damn sure that date is correct.
I'd like to see them take more of a Nintendo approach, if you know what I mean. So, like, don't get me wrong, there are a few games that Nintendo has been like, we're making this, and then like Metroid Prime 4, still waiting on that. Bayonetta 3 is another one that's like seemingly lost in the ether, but they are a publisher and a console maker that seems to get their games done and then hoard them until like a certain we saw Xenoblade Chronicles 3 moved up a few months, and then it switched with Splatoon. So this is kind of what I'm talking about, where like Xenoblade is done and Splatoon clearly needs like maybe another month, right? So they're like, okay, we're just gonna switch it. Like we have that flexibility. So we need to see Xbox kind of get into a rhythm where, hey, games are done, and now we're just going to push them out on that schedule. And Tay talks in the chat, who might be coming on the show soon. Little spoilers, but he says, you know, over at PlayStation, they've been having exclusives. They've been having games throughout this year, and he's not wrong. Sifu, Gran Turismo, Horizon, Ghostwire Tokyo, potentially God of War. So those are all games that have been or have been decently received. I think Gran Turismo was all right. Horizon was really well received. Ghostwire was a little more mixed, but these are exclusive games, right? Like these are games you're going to your PlayStation for. Right now, Xbox has to rely on Game Pass and indie games for this year.
Yeah, Kevin, and that word you used, rhythm, that's really important here. And I think that's what we're waiting for with Xbox is that rhythm. We have how many studios at this point that are going to be under the Xbox Game Studios umbrella? We're not in that rhythm yet. And, there's going to be growing pains that may last another year, honestly, with these growing pains. But, once we hit that rhythm, once we get to that point where we have these studios all working together and getting their games out in a timely fashion and being able to cross-pollinate with each other, I think we're going to see less of this. But right now, we're in that transition period. So it is going to be difficult for these studios to be able to complete projects on time.
In the chat, it's Kyle says, meanwhile, my PS5 is using a Genshin Impact machine and to play the new Neptunia games. I mean, to be fair, my PS5 collects dust most of the time. Like, I think I haven't touched it since I played Shadow Warrior 3, which was like 3 weeks ago when I first got sick with COVID. So yeah, it's been a few weeks since I've turned my PlayStation on because I do have games to play on Game Pass, like I'm saying, those indie games. But maybe the new PS Plus changes that. Maybe the catalog's dope, and I have a reason to dive in there. Amon, I want to throw it back over to you. What do you think Xbox needs to do? Like, how do they solve this for this year?
Patience, they gotta wait and they gotta let the games be fully ready. Like I think the decision to delay Starfield was the right decision.
Okay.
They have to be risky enough to take these risks. They have to be willing to take these risks because as Ethan said, when that rhythm hits, they're going to be an unstoppable force. Those games are going to be coming out month after month. Like as Phil Spencer said, he wants a AAA game every quarter, and I think that's definitely achievable with the amount of studios they have now. Especially if the Activision acquisition goes through, then yeah, I think in give it a couple of years, and hopefully they pick up that rhythm, and eventually.
Haven't we been saying that for a while? Give it a few more years. Xbox is going to get there. Give it a few more years. Like at a certain point, you have to start holding them accountable. I'm not saying we're still in a pandemic, despite how the world has moved on, but there is still challenges that people are facing. It's just a complicated situation. Obviously, I want them to give a good game as opposed to an early game that is bad, but it does sting. I can't lie.
I think it'll definitely be a bad look on Xbox if Starfield comes out and ends up being really disappointing. Then that's good. Then it's going to be a problem
for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem. Then that's when they're going to have to maybe restructure their management for sure. Because if Starfield comes out and if that ends up being disappointing, kind of in a tight spot.
So Ethan, what if it does come out and it's scoring like a 70? Like what if it hits and it doesn't, get those high 80s, low 90s that everyone is like, okay, this needs to hit that cadence.
It's hard to even imagine a timeline where that happens, because Bethesda is such a studio with such a pedigree behind it. And, we've been so excited for this for so long. But, if something like that happens, I think, yeah, they need to take a look at the development of these games, and maybe Xbox needs to have a little more control over these studios and what they're doing, because obviously they gave a lot of creative control to 343 and they messed things up with a very legendary IP. And if Bethesda can't even get out its own properties, we have a problem on our hands. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer to this is. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that's a long shot. I think Starfield's going to come out great. I'm just calling it right now. You could roll back the tape if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's even in the realm of possibilities. Bethesda, their games can be buggy when they first come out, but those games hit. All right. They are world-changing games.
But this is exactly what people said about Halo Infinite.
I never said that about Infinite. I know I don't trust 343.
I've listened to while I was listening to other Xbox podcasts before Halo Infinite came out. Everyone was like, "This is going to be a masterpiece." They took.
I don't know why, because 343 hasn't proved themselves once to me. Bethesda has proved themselves since 2003.
Recently have they after Fallout 3? There hasn't been anything.
Fallout 4
After
was great.
Skyrim, you
I don't
could say.
know what y'all are talking
I
about.
mean,
I like
I mean,
Fallout 4.
a lot of people.
Fallout
It
sucks.
was divisive though. Like
Kevin, we're not doing
everyone
this.
loved Fallout 3. Everyone loved Fallout New Vegas. But Fallout 4, that was divisive. Not everyone loved it. You know.
I guess, but if you look at
Yeah.
Fallout 4 objectively, it's a good game. It's a
good game, I
huge
agree,
world with a
definitely.
lot of lore. It's one of those massive Bethesda games, and it's just a well-made game. You may not like the storyline and may not like it compared to previous Fallouts, but I think a lot of that has to do with nostalgia purposes. People just being mad because it's something new. But that's neither
But
here
there
nor
is the
there. We can
argument
talk.
that is Bethesda the same company as they were before. I hope they are, but
I think they are. I
think
trust them.
Starfield. I think Starfield is going to is going to show us if they are or if they're not. So there's a lot riding on this game. A lot.
It's
The future
true.
of
and
Xbox. Yes.
I don't know about the future of it. If it comes out, it's like, okay, just another dud. Like Xbox will continue regardless of Starfield. Like, oh
They
my
will,
god.
but the overall sentiment, like imagine the articles being written by GameSpot and IGN. They're gonna it's gonna be a really rough spot for Xbox if Starfield doesn't hit. There's a lot writing.
It's like Xbox has the hook. They
Yeah.
could take this generation by storm.
Yeah,
They're so
exactly.
close. They
If
just need to
Starfield-
take that extra step.
If Starfield hits, it could be the next Red Dead Redemption. Like remember how big that game was? When Red Dead Redemption 2, when that game came out, like everyone was talking about it. There were like tons of articles being written. So there's a lot riding on them.
Yeah.
Tay talks in the chat goes, Amon, get him with fire emojis. So he likes what you're spitting there, Amon. Yeah, no, it's interesting to see. I think overall the sentiment is disappointing, understandable. But man, did I really think Starfield was? I was telling Ethan in the pre-show. I had to deal with so many people on Reddit today who bookmarked me being like, "No, it's fine. They're polishing the game. It's coming out this year," and then they're just replying to me 6 months later, being like, "Guess it needs more polish." I'm like, "Oh, you got me good. Got me good. I guess I look dumb now, but you can go post that on social media and be like, I own this dude so hard." Yeah, no, really disappointing. But we can move on to story number 2 if anyone doesn't have anything else to say about Starfield or Redfall. We didn't really talk about Redfall, which is I think it's kind of indicative of where it is in the mindset, right? Like it was meant.
We don't know much about it, like compared to what we know about Starfield, because we've had those development diaries with Todd Howard and the rest of the studio. So yeah.
I also think Starfield is just like the bigger name.
Redfall
is more like is a co-op vampire game that like they told us was coming in the summer, and then people are like, "Oh, it might be coming in the winter instead," and now it's like, "Oh, it's coming."
There's
next
really
year.
no comparison between the two games.
It's
for
just
sure.
like
Much as hyped as I am for Redfall, definitely no comparison.
You're like the only human being I know that thought Redfall looked good.
It's vampires, dude. Vampires are cool. Morbius is cool.
No, man, no.
Vampires had their time in the early 2010s. Just let it die. We don't need to do this anymore.
Listen, I mean, I don't know. I did just request us a code for a certain vampire game coming out. So if someone, Amon, maybe I'll throw that your way since you like vampires so much. But we'll see if we get that. We can move on to story number 2, though, guys, and that is Xbox DRM an issue? So this past weekend, it's a little removed now, but millions were affected by the Xbox server outage. Millions of viewers were prevented from playing their games, owned and on Game Pass, or buying new items from the store. This widespread issue affected everyone individually and actually affected some people for days. This has once again brought to light people's concerns regarding DRM, or digital rights management. For those unaware, Xbox has a home Xbox feature which should let you play all of your owned games even when you're offline. But according to Microsoft, this requires an offline license, and to get that, the game has to have been launched at least once, which was proving difficult for some users. So, Ethan, I want to start with you. I'm really, because I know you're Mr. Physical Copy. You were all high and mighty during this, which First of all,
playing my video games.
I didn't experience any sort of outage during this. I've talked to other people that didn't have this issue. I
Yeah.
know people that did have this issue. So it is very much a case by case basis.
Right.
But were you affected, Ethan? And what do you think of DRM? Like, is this an issue that Xbox, is this really as big of an issue as people are making it out to be?
So in terms of if I was impacted, it was kind of sporadic on and off. I couldn't access some of my Game Pass games. I was online with Garrett. We were about to play No Man's Sky through Game Pass, and we weren't able to connect because the game wouldn't launch. So I went and I played Lego Star Wars, which I own physically. And he basically said, well, I can't play anything. he just watched Netflix or something like that. But in terms of if DRM is an issue at this moment, no. Will it be an issue in the future? Yes. Here's the thing. There's no such thing as digital rights. Okay. You do not have any of these companies. I'm being serious. Any of these companies can flip the switch today and take these rights away from you. Take the game that you paid $50, $60, $70 for away from you. We saw it with Metal Gear Solid on the Xbox. Just because of a song rights issue, nobody can access that game anymore through a digital purchase. You have to have had a physical copy of the game. Now, this presents a problem for probably a decade down the line when we're on the next generation of Xbox and PlayStation, or the generation after that, when these servers start shutting down and when we start these licenses for music, etc., stop being updated. We look at a game like Guardians of the Galaxy that has so many licensed songs through so many different bands, and I'm assuming multiple different licensing companies. It's bound to happen with that game that eventually one of these companies aren't going to renew their license, and you're not going to be able to play that game anymore unless you have what I have and you have the disc. So, this is going to be an issue in the future. As of now, no, because we just haven't been in this age of everything being digital for that long. I think maybe the last 10 years or so, it's really just been ramping up. And I think we're slowly starting to see the effects here, and people are starting to realize, like, this could happen. And I think a decade from now, a lot of people are going to start being disappointed because they can't access their games.
Okay. Amon, it looks like you wanted to say something when he was talking.
Yeah, never mind that. He later
he addressed it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I was affected by the DRM issues.
Okay.
I was very disappointed when this happened because I was done with my exam. I'm like, okay, let's play some Xbox after 3 weeks of not gaming at all. And I was like, let's boot it up. And I click on FIFA and it's just not working. I'm like, what's wrong? And then I go on Twitter and everyone's complaining about this. So yeah, but it wasn't that bad. I booted up my PS4 instead. I started a hunt for the platinum on Persona 5 Royal and Ghost of Tsushima. So I'm trying to get the platinum on those two. I want to level up my achievement hunting and trophy hunting things.
Good man. Good man.
Nice. Yeah. Persona 5 Royal has a very easy platinum, so shouldn't be that hard for you to get. I got an 87.
Yeah, I'm done with the game. I just need to go back and get the trophy, so it's not a difficult thing.
Okay. That's funny you say you just went and played something else, because It's Kyle says, never seen a bigger bunch of whiny babies. Oh no, I couldn't play a game for a little bit. Go do something else and come back. These people wouldn't have survived the PSN outage.
That's how I feel about it too. Like, I was like, whatever, I could go do something else. Luckily, I had physical media to be able to play. But just go do something else for a little bit. That's why I said it's not really an issue right now.
If I didn't have my PS4, I would have been so gutted, man. Because I haven't played for 3 weeks. I was looking forward to this day to get back on my Xbox. And the DRM issues were like,
that's just terrible timing.
Yeah, no, listen, does it suck that the Xbox was down for people for an extended period of time? Yes, it does suck. I think that's the benefit of having multiple consoles. You can just go on to another one. Like, PSN has been down. This is my first place. PSN has been down more than Xbox has ever been down in the year and a half I've owned PlayStation. Like, it's been down multiple times. So I don't really you can't get mad at one. Like, this is just, we're moving to a digital age. All the consoles are going to have this sort of issue going forward. I do think there is room for improvement because I think the DRM check-in for Xbox is it's like 48 or 24 hours. I think maybe we need to extend that. Maybe you only have had to have an internet connection for maybe, I don't know, 4 days, or like if you were online 4 days ago, you can play your game. Something like that. I think extend the time period. But in terms of is DRM an actual issue? For me, not so much. I prefer digital games. They're more convenient. They're tied to my account, which I'm gonna have my account forever unless Xbox dies, which is certainly a possibility. But I imagine Microsoft would keep the ability to like have your account up because it is a Microsoft account, and Microsoft isn't gonna die. Microsoft isn't gonna die. I know everyone has these whole scenarios like, oh well, they could do this, but like realistically, would that happen? Probably not. So I understand people's concerns about like somehow all the giant tech companies go under and then your accounts are lost to time and all your games are lost to time. It's like you're gonna want those physical games, which fair. I understand your concerns, but for me, I just don't see that being the future, and I'm much more about like convenience and space and being able to share my games digitally with people like my brother who we share on Xbox, we share on PlayStation. It's great for that purpose, saving money. So for me, I'm a digital guy. I just think there's improvements that can be made to the DRM system, and that's really where I come down to it. I did see some people being like, Microsoft owes us money, like we pay for this service. They need to. I'm like, bro, they're gonna give you like 13 cents. What are you like? It's been like 2 days. What are you asking for money back for? Like, you know how much you pay a month for this? Like, you're not gonna get any money back.
Yeah, just baseline. I don't think there should be a future where if I pay $60 or $70 that I don't have access to a game. Period. Even if it's just like that just seems dirty to me. I should be able to access my property that I paid for. That's just the baseline of why I am still all about physical copies. In terms of Game Pass, that's fine. I don't care if I have to have a constant internet connection. I don't care if I have to do a ping check-in with Microsoft every now and then because I don't own those games as much as I don't own the movies that I watch on Netflix. I get that. It's not a big deal to me.
Who isn't online? It's 2022. Like, I don't understand this argument. I was like, well, I have to be online for this console. Like, why aren't you online? I don't understand. Where do you live that you don't have internet?
Well, as someone who's invested around $2 million in NFTs, and
get out of here.
The blockchain is an extremely reliable source, and it's the future, I believe. So yeah, I think these issues need to be addressed and fixed immediately.
Oh my god,
I hate you.
Get rid of him. I'm so glad the NFT and cryptocurrency market's plummeting right now.
I hate you so much. Oh my god. I was going to bring up one last point, Ethan, because you brought up like having discs and you're glad that you can just pop a disc in and play your game, right? We're moving towards an age where there's nothing on those discs, right? Like,
that's why I didn't buy the copy of Halo Infinite.
Yeah, Halo Infinite's disc is blank. You put it in, it still downloads everything.
Yeah, that's insane to me. That is scary.
We're seeing that more and more. Like, discs are literally just collectors. Like they're just for show, essentially.
Honestly, the way things are now, I mean, if you pop in a disc, you still have to download data off the network. Yeah. I mean, so I miss the days of when you could just throw a disc in a system and play the damn game. But I understand games are getting way bigger than they were before, and that's not really a possibility anymore. But I just think the whole, rights to the media, I think if you pay for a game, you should just have access to it all the time. I don't think there should be any issues with that.
Yeah. No.
You guys... Honestly, I think this is the last generation that a console will have a disc drive.
No, I don't think.
No, we're definitely gonna have a disc drive next generation, just because the infrastructure in the U.S. won't it won't.
You're telling me Microsoft won't take the chance to upcharge a console $200 just to throw in a $10 disc drive into their system? Come on, that's like free money for people.
PlayStation, if they're competing with PlayStation, like imagine the PS6 is $500 and the Series 2 is $300.
I mean, there is a $300 option.
No. The main console, the main version is like $300, not the side piece.
I guess
the side piece. I don't know what connection you got with Tay Talks in the chat, but he goes, "Get them Amon again." Oh my god, man! Yo, he's coming. He's for you, Team Amon. I've never seen this before. Personally, I'd gladly take consoles without disc drives. Like, my PS5 doesn't have a disc drive. I wish they were like, here's a Series X without a disc drive. I would have hopped on that so fast. Save me a few bucks. Like, yeah, I would be all about that. I Amon supremacy, he says, my lord. I wanted to one last thing about this. Did you guys see the patent that Xbox has filed, which probably won't come to be, but like it's interesting to think about how they might allow you to have an external disk drive for the Series S. And then if you put your disc in, then it would give you the digital version on your Series S to kind of like bypass that. What do you think about that, Ethan? I think that might be something more you'd find like really appealing.
Yeah, it's a good option. Just give something for people that want to keep having those discs. I mean, you're just going to make more money out of me. Like, what's the big deal? So, offering a little accessory like that, I think it's a good thing, especially for people that want the Series S, but maybe have a lot of physical media from the previous generations, and they just want to be able to use that on their brand new console. I think that's a great idea. I think it's something that should have happened in the first place. But
okay, but hear me out. Proprietary disk drive, $250.
That's ridiculous.
It's a joke about the proprietary like memory card thing
Yeah.
that they have. It's like super expensive.
Absolutely bonkers. No.
Yeah, that's like $50 cheaper than the Series S itself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just no,
Yeah.
But for real though, there are people that buy a Series S and then they buy the memory card expansion from Seagate, and I'm like, you could have just got a Series X.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It's the same price.
Why?
You spent the same amount of money for less. Like,
Meanwhile, Microsoft is sitting back like, got him.
Yeah.
Easy.
Nice.
Easy money.
Nice. I know somewhere out there there's parents that are like, we're gonna get our kids Series S's and save money, and then they buy those cards and like, glad we saved all this money. I'm like, you didn't think this through at all, did you?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we will see what happens there. Certainly, like I said, room for improvement, but I think it got a little blown out of proportion. I do think overall the DRM thing blew up on Twitter too much.
Right.
Tay Talk says that sounds amazing. My disk drive or the
disk
patent?
drive?
I assume you mean the patent. We can move on to story number 3, guys. And it is our classic maps returning to Halo Infinite. This comes from Joseph Staten, who may have hinted that classic maps will be making a return to Halo Infinite. Previously dismissed by the team at 343, he was speaking to the Kind of Funny XCast and said that when asked if multiplayer maps from older Halo games could make an appearance, he responded, quote, "I can talk about some things, but I can't talk about others. There are some great Halo maps. I think we all have our personal favorites. Guardian, Blood Gulch, The Pit. There are a lot of maps that are awesome, right? I think it'd be awesome to play on those maps again. Don't you guys? That sounds like a fun thing." So clearly a little tongue-in-cheek response from good old Joe over there, clearly hinting that maybe 343 has changed their position before launch, and maybe we could see integration into some maps. So Amon, I'll go to you first just to get you out of the way, because I know you didn't play the other Halos. You don't know what these maps are. You don't know what you're missing. Okay, so
okay, I get it. There's a massive audience behind it. There's a lot of people who have a certain who feel nostalgic to these maps. But when are these gonna come out? Like what? Season 7, season 8? Like you can't get Forge out and you're already talking about classic maps. Just keep quiet for a while. Let Forge come out. Don't overhype things too early, because I doubt this is gonna come out this year. So yeah, he shouldn't have said that. He should have just Forge is coming. Let's focus on that instead of just throwing like, oh, we have this coming, but probably be 3 years till you see it.
Our good friend TPR says, even I played the first 2 Halos this past winter, and I'm a Sony pony.
Halo sucks, guys. I'm sorry. It's a
wrong
generic
with you?
sci-fi shooter.
That's
it's a generic
wild.
sci-fi shooter.
Top 5
Halo
that
Infinite
right there.
Wild.
Halo Infinite was
2.
good. Halo Infinite was good, but it's not even the best shooter under the Xbox umbrella. Doom is. So
That's disappointing.
I like Doom. I like Doom Eternal. Like
it's fun. It's a lot more fun to play than Halo.
No. Doom Eternal was fun, but Halo 2's campaign, Halo 3's campaign are on a different level.
No one's gonna go back and play a 20-year-old game.
Okay, all right. Listen,
no one's gonna go back and play a outdated 20-year-old game, so unless they remake it from the ground up,
bro.
Obviously,
Bro.
people do because they're playing the Master Chief Collection. So
Yeah, but like again,
TPR says
me?
I
and wait,
played them.
didn't you just play Mass Effect Legendary Edition? You played Mass Effect 1 that came out in
I did.
2006.
But I agree. They're outdated games, but they are really good games. Like the core plot and everything is really
What's
good.
your point then? I don't
Mass
get
Effect.
it.
But my point is,
Hold up.
Halo is a generic shooter. Mass Effect is a critically
God.
acclaimed RPG.
Oh my
There's
god.
a difference.
Oh my god. First of all,
This is a brutally honest opinion of mine. It is you guys are just blinded by nostalgia and your love for Xbox.
it's not nostalgia. I went and played them before. I played Halo 1 before Infinite came out, and it was great.
Come on, Kevin. You can't say that. Like in an
I
age where
played
we got
Reach.
shooters
I played
Doom,
Reach for the first
Wolfenstein,
time
you're
last
telling
year.
me Halo Combat Evolved still holds up to this day.
Combat Halo Evolve 100% holds up to this day.
I find it hard to believe. But agree to disagree.
Well, in terms of the maps, let's get back on that. Obviously, for nostalgia purposes, this is exciting. I'd love to see some of these old maps. For me personally, it's Valhalla is my favorite map type. I would love to see Valhalla in a big team battle map. It would be super fun. What I think is good about this also is this is a good strategy for 343 to supplement its lack of content and be able to bide them time in order to make original content for the game. Because obviously we are on a dry spell. Like they're struggling to pump out content. If they just gather all these big maps from the past, redo them, update the graphics, what have you, add the new weapons in, all that good stuff, it shouldn't take them that long. It shouldn't be that difficult. Trickle them out throughout, when you have dry spells of content. It would be a great idea for them. So, and it would make a lot of people happy, I think. So I see no problem with this idea. I think it's a great idea.
No, I like what you said, Ethan, but I'm a maybe go off the rails here. All right. So I think that this is actually a lot easier than what Aman is saying. I don't think that you need to like rebuild these from the ground up. Like basically just transition your old maps to the new engine and you're good. I don't think it'll take that long. Honestly, the fact we only got 2 maps in season 2, I think come June 12th, this is the announcement that we're getting. I don't think we're getting the Battle Royale for Halo Infinite. I think we're getting at the showcase, they're going to bring back these maps for the summer. I think that's going to, because there is a few week period on that roadmap where there's nothing listed. I think it's June. So clearly they have something that they're going to show. And I think that this is it. I think this is what it's going to be. So, Tay in the chat says, Ethan, Kevin, is Halo Infinite better shooter than Doom Eternal? For me, yeah. I liked Halo Infinite campaign more than Doom Eternal. Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. It's a different kind of shooter. First of all,
it's completely different.
Platforming in Doom is awful. Like the Doom Eternal platforming did not need to be there. It's not good. Like get that out of the game. Just let me rip
back to your previous point about maps.
Yeah,
I do think that it's very likely they will be announced at the June showcase. But my main concern is, why aren't you putting all your effort towards Forge and try get it out as soon as possible instead of diverting focus to, let's get some maps in here, let's do this, let's do that. Your main focus right now should be Forge and the Battle Royale mode. Those are the two things you need to push out the door immediately, and then you can do the maps. That's what I think should be happening right now. But
that's the thing. I don't think updating these old maps takes a lot of focus. I don't think it's that difficult for them to do.
Halo Infinite as a game shouldn't have taken 5 years to make.
Well, I mean,
So,
they were making a brand new game. We're talking about assets that are already in place that have already been made. All they got to do is go in, port it into the new engine, and add just the weapons around the map.
That is a fair point.
So, this could take them, I don't know. I'm not a game developer. I can't imagine it's going to take them that long as opposed to them building a map from scratch. So, It'd be a great idea, and that's a good shout, Kevin. That's a good thought that they're gonna drop that.
Yeah, I think that's
a great
very
idea.
likely. June 12th. I think that's very likely.
I imagine Blood Gulch will be like the opening like cinematic that we see, because I think that's the most like famous Halo map, right?
And the other thing is they have to generate buzz for Halo Infinite again. They have to get it back into the conversation, because right now it is just dead in the water. Like hardly anyone's playing it. I haven't touched season 2 yet. I haven't played this game since February.
No,
I think that's goes back to my point. That's why I think Battle Royale will help significantly. Whether you like the mode or not, it has a wide appeal.
That'll help as well.
Yeah.
I'm not debating the fact whether that'll help, but I'm just saying they need to do something sooner than that, because they're not ready to release the Battle Royale yet.
No, it's hilarious because
talking about the Battle Royale, like you can see streamers like Ninja and Dr. Disrespect. As soon as that's out, they're gonna jump onto it, and all the 13-year-olds following them, they're gonna be like, "Oh, they're playing this game. Let's jump onto it." So yeah, I think once the Battle Royale mode is out, that's what's really gonna ignite the buzz for Halo Infinite once again.
I think it's hilarious that you're very much in the Forge and Battle Royale should be the priority, when I'm over here like, we need more maps, we need campaign co-op, like those are the priority. Like they're very different priorities.
They still didn't add campaign co-op? Wow, okay.
No, so they did.
You can't even replay missions yet.
They're coming end of August, both of those things according to their roadmap. End of August. And
we'll
then Forge is early September, apparently, which they did move up because Forge was supposed to be season 3. So, but it's been being privately tested. I know some people over at Xbox Era were playing it. So they are moving Forge up. And I know Forge is a huge part of the community. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't really I don't care about making maps. Like I just want to play maps, which for me is why I'm like, throw a bunch of old maps in the game and like you'll probably get me to play more. Like if you tell me Blood Gulch is in there, I'm in.
Yeah, 100%. I get where you're coming from, but then you have to look at the wider appeal. Like Fortnite has a creative mode, and that's one of the things. That's one of the most popular modes in Fortnite, where you can create your own maps. You can create a random map and jump in with friends and just have a house rules match. You can have the Battle Royale mode. So that's why I'm really pushing Forge and Battle Royale to come out as soon as possible. I think if Halo Infinite launched with those two modes, it would have been at really good place right now. But those are the two modes they have to get out. Even if you don't like them, they have a wide appeal and they will instantly ignite interest in the game.
Yeah, in terms of Forge, I absolutely agree with Amon on this, because Forge is what extended the life cycle of Halo 3 and Halo Reach. I mean, those were I didn't play anything in Halo 4 and 5, so I don't know about those. But I know Forge was huge on keeping Halo 3 and Halo Reach popular well past their lifetime. Because people were out there making incredible custom games, and then they did the awesome step Bungie did of integrating those custom games into matchmaking, which was awesome, with Griffball, with Infection. There was actually, by the end of the Halo 3 life cycle, there was actually just a custom games multiplayer playlist that you could just go on, and you played some crazy games where you had fixed tanks shooting at people. I mean, it was so fun. That's what we need. We need community-driven content to keep this alive.
Fair enough. We'll see what happens. I do think he's hinting at it, though. I think he just can't say it. And it's not the first time he's kind of dropped a little.
I'm sure he got an ass chewing at the.
He's a cheeky little guy. He's a cheeky dude, that Joe Staten. But guys, that's the show for this week. Tight little show. Thank God for the Starfield. Well, not thank God for the Starfield news. Yes, it's good for the podcast. No, it's not good for my heart and mind and
Amon got his first supporter ever. So that's good.
Yo, man, I'm gonna send you his deeds.
Big episode. This is a
you
big
guys
episode.
Can connect. All right. But Amon, welcome back. Where can people find you if they want more of your spicy takes?
You can find me on Twitter at Amon_M05.
Ethan, where can people find you?
They can find me at WhiteCedar1 on Twitter and Gravy3448 on Xbox.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon. It's a 1-7 I and 0-7A. Follow us at Project XTalk to stay up to date with all of our latest. Enter our Trek to Yomi giveaway. Details are on the Twitter. I want to give you guys a free game. We're close to 400 subscribers here on YouTube. Help us get there, and I will give you a free game. So until next time, we will see you. Goodbye.
Peace.